looking to connect a region of over 600 cultural bridges between our lands.
Good evening, I'm Alma Angeles. You're watching ASEAN in Focus on today's headlines.
These activities.
The Philippines, Japan, and the U.S. launched their inaugural Trilateral Maritime exercise, marking a significant step towards enhancing cooperation in promoting a free and open Indo-Pacific. Efforts to combat the trafficking of illegal narcotics, precursor chemicals, timber, wildlife, people, and illicit goods in Southeast Asia are receiving a boost from a dedicated UN agency that focuses on drugs and crime. This specialized agency is working tirelessly to address these pressing issues and ensure a safer and more secure region. As the scorching sun beats down on Hanoi, the bustling capital city of Vietnam, street sellers find themselves grappling with the intense heat wave that has engulfed the region. With temperatures soaring to record highs, life in Hanoi has been disrupted, and the challenges faced by street vendors highlight the difficulties endured by those who rely on the streets to make ends meet. And get ready to be dazzled at this year's Light Extravaganza in Singapore. Prepare for an enlightening experience as the festival presents a remarkable lineup of 14 captivating installations, each more awe-inspiring than the last. The Philippines, Japan, and the U.S. launched their inaugural Trilateral Maritime exercise, marking a significant step towards enhancing cooperation in promoting a free and open Indo-Pacific.
These activities will enhance interoperability and cooperative missions and operations, build greater connections, and assist our nations in promoting a free and open Indo-Pacific region for all who depend on it. The United States and the United States Coast Guard are committed to our allies and partners in this region. We are proud of our persistent presence in the Indo-Pacific and our dependability as a trusted partner.
Now, taking place near the mouth of Manila Bay in the South China Sea, which is a highly disputed region claimed largely by Beijing, the week-long exercises involved 4 Philippine Coast Guard ships, a U.S. Coast Guard cutter, and a Japanese Coast Guard cruiser. These drills focus on law enforcement, search and rescue operations, and reflect the United States' aim to strengthen security alliances in the Asia-Pacific region to counter Chinese aggression in areas like Taiwan and the South China Sea. In recent developments, Manila and Washington have agreed to resume joint maritime patrols in the contested waters and have reached an agreement allowing U.S. troops access to 4 additional military bases in the Philippines. Furthermore, Tokyo and Manila are engaged in preliminary discussions regarding a crucial defense pact that would enable the deployment of troops on each other's territories for training and other collaborative operations.
Japan places considerable emphasis in supporting the area of maritime security. As a maritime nation, Japan has a stake to uphold and protect a rule-based maritime order. Hence, modernizing PCG facilities and equipment, as well as supporting its human resource development, is at the forefront of Japan's long-standing initiative.
It was the joint proposal from the U.S. and Japan to hold this trilateral exercise, as confirmed by Armando Balilo, the Philippine Coast Guard spokesman.
This is an exercise between 3 Coast Guard agencies. At the end of the day, this is because our job demands that we enhance our capability on search and rescue and maritime law enforcement. So this has nothing to do with the issues on the West Philippine Sea.
Both the U.S. and Japan are significant suppliers of vessels utilized by the Philippine Coast Guard and Navy to conduct patrols in the waters surrounding the archipelago. Beijing claims sovereignty over almost the entire South China Sea, ignoring an international court ruling that its assertion has no legal basis. Now, during a visit to Tokyo, Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin III and Japanese Defense Minister Yasukazu Hamada discussed the practical implementation of agreements aimed at strengthening the alliance between the U.S. and Japan. They emphasized the importance of deepening cooperation between the two nations. Take a look.
進化させることの重要性を確認しました。
In addition, based on the severe and complex security environment, we confirmed the importance to deepen cooperation not only between Japan and the United States, but also with Republic of Korea, Australia, and ASEAN countries.
Now, this is a consequential time for our alliance. We are deeply concerned by the PRC's coercive behavior and its attempts to undermine the rules-based international order. And meanwhile, Russia continues to wage its cruel and unprovoked war of choice against Ukraine. We appreciate Japan's assistance to Ukraine and your leadership in opposing any attempts to change the status quo by force. As we face these shared challenges, I am here to reaffirm America's unwavering commitment to Japan. This includes extended deterrence, provided by the full range of U.S. conventional and nuclear capabilities. Together, we will ensure that our alliance remains a cornerstone of peace and security in the Indo-Pacific and beyond. I'm also encouraged by the important work that we're doing with our like-minded allies and partners, including Australia, the Republic of Korea, India, and the Philippines. And I look forward to deepening our multilateral security cooperation during our upcoming meetings in Singapore.
Now, Austin's itinerary also includes a trip to Singapore where he will attend the Shangri-La Dialogue and engage with defense ministers from various countries in the Indo-Pacific region. However, it's worth noting also that the Chinese defense minister declined Austin's request for a meeting.
Regarding the Chinese declining to meet with me, the Minister of Defense declining to meet with me, I think that's unfortunate, but we're going to continue to do what we are doing in this region and others, and that is to work with like-minded countries who share common values and common goals to continue to promote a free and open Indo-Pacific. And again, you've heard me talk a number of times about the importance of countries with significant capabilities being able to talk to each other so you can manage crises and prevent things from spiraling out of control unnecessarily. And as we take a look at some of the things that China is doing in the international airspace in the region and the international waterways, the provocative intercepts of our aircraft and also our allies' aircraft, that's very concerning, and we would hope that they would alter their actions. But since they haven't yet, I'm concerned about at some point having an incident that could very, very quickly spiral out of control.
In tonight's other news, a top Chinese intelligence official recently paid a visit to Myanmar, and this visit was reported by Myanmar state media on Wednesday. This is not the first time Beijing has sent a high-profile delegation to its ally Myanmar, which has faced international isolation. Now, Myanmar has been in a state of turmoil since a coup took place in 2021. And this event triggered clashes between the junta and ethnic rebels, leading to the formation of numerous People's Defense Forces that are currently battling the junta. Against this backdrop, the visit by Major General Yang Yang, who serves as the Acting Director General of the Intelligence Bureau of the Joint Staff Department of China's Central Military Commission, holds significance. It marks the first publicly reported visit by a military official from China since the coup occurred. During the meeting, General Yang Yang and Vice Senior General So Win, the junta's #2 official, discussed cooperation between the two armies and explored opportunities for collaboration in peace, tranquility, and development programs for border areas. It's important to mention that while many countries have distanced themselves from the Myanmar junta due to its violent crackdown on dissent, China has maintained its ties with the regime. In fact, Myanmar's military has imported a significant amount of arms and equipment worth around $267 million from China since it took power. These imports include items from state-owned entities, as reported by Tom Andrews, the UN Special Rapporteur on Human Rights in Myanmar. Furthermore, China's ambitious Belt and Road Infrastructure Initiative includes various projects that are set to run through northern Myanmar, and these projects aim to connect China's Yunnan province, which is landlocked, to the Indian Ocean. Analysts also suggest that China supports and arms several ethnic rebel groups along its border with Myanmar. Some of these groups have clashed with the Myanmar military after the coup, and in March, a coalition of China-backed rebels even appealed for Beijing's assistance in resolving the crisis. Southeast Asia is combating the trafficking of illegal narcotics, precursor chemicals, timber and wildlife, people, and illicit goods with the assistance of the UN Office on Drugs and Crime, or UNODC, a specialized UN agency dedicated to addressing these issues. Taking the lead in this effort is Jeremy Douglas, who serves as the regional representative of UNODC for Southeast Asia and the Pacific. Let's listen in.
So right now we're standing in Thailand, in the Golden Triangle, with Laos and Myanmar directly behind me on the banks of the Mekong. It's one of the biggest drug trafficking corridors in the world. So we have major production of heroin inside, opium and heroin inside Shan State, but also methamphetamine, synthetic drugs, which are spilling out across the region and feeding the whole of Asia Pacific, basically from Japan all the way down to New Zealand and everywhere in between. Well, border liaison offices really play a fundamental, crucial role at the very, very front lines of the region. So what they allow states to do is internally coordinate between agencies. So say where I'm standing here right now in Thailand, we have 4 to 5 agencies as members of a border liaison office: customs, immigration, police, border army, other authorities like ONCB, the Drug Authority. They come together, they jointly coordinate internally, but then they have a mirroring operation across the border in Laos, where they can coordinate with the Laos side that have the same mandates. So basically they can, on a range of crime types, they can quickly share information, they can take action together. That's the concept, and fundamentally it works relatively well to speed up the actions states can take to push back on the traffickers and the organized crime.
As part of their regular patrols, the Royal Thai Navy Mekong Riverine Unit operates along the Mekong River in the vicinity of Chiang Saen, a border town located in northern Thailand. As they navigate the river, they have Laos to their right, where they observe the emergence of colossal construction projects that are being funded by foreign investments, gradually transforming the once lush undergrowth along the riverbank. On the other side, to their left, lie the dense jungles of Myanmar. With their spirits high, the crew aboard the Thai boat is relishing a recent achievement. They successfully seized a staggering 6.4 million pills of the illicit synthetic drug methamphetamine, locally known as yaba. This banned substance is notorious for its highly addictive properties, and the confiscation marks a significant victory in their ongoing efforts to combat drug trafficking in the region.
ท้าทายคือแม่น้ำโขงโดยเฉพาะไทยกับลาวครับก็คือความท้าทายคือเรายังไม่มีการแบ่งเขตแดนกันอย่างชัดเจนดังนั้นการทำงานเนี่ยมันก็ทำให้อำนาจความเป็นเจ้าที่รัฐบางทีมันมีความล่อแหลมที่จะไปกระทำให้มันเกิดความขัดแย้งกันได้
On the Laos side of the Mekong River, border authorities at Wai Chai are celebrating their own significant seizure of drugs the previous night based on intelligence. A military land patrol caught drug mules carrying 500 kilograms of crystal meth, an illegal stimulant drug that is smoked or injected.
ส่วนร่วมในการจับกลุ่มยาเสพติดนำแผนกปราบปรามยาเสพติดเนาะแล้วก็ทางตม.พวกเขาก็มีส่วนร่วมในการประสานงานระหว่างประเทศเช่นว่าด้านเขาก็สามารถประสานงานกับด้านเสียงคล้องเนาะด้านกฎคนเข้าเมืองเสียงคล้องและก็ทางอำเภอเสียงคล้องในการปราบปรามยาเสพติด ข้ามแดนแล้วก็สกัดกั้นการอาชญากรรมข้ามชาติแล้วก็สกัดกั้นการลักลอบเข้าเมืองผิดกฎหมาย
The previous month, 7.1 million methamphetamine pills had also been seized in the same area. Since 1999, UNODC has supported the establishment of over 120 border liaison offices in Cambodia, China, Indonesia, Laos, PDR, Myanmar, Thailand, and Vietnam, with an estimated 3,000 officers working across the region. A recent report from the UN warns of escalating acute food insecurity in 18 hotspots across 22 countries. The report, titled Hunger Hotspots FAOWFP, Early Warnings on Acute Food Insecurity, calls for immediate humanitarian action to prevent starvation and save lives. Take a look.
Within West and Central Africa, we have a particular concern for the conflict-affected areas in Burkina and in Mali, where we have 45,000 people that are facing catastrophic levels of hunger. The worrisome part is also that now we see the conflict in the Sahel spreading to the southern countries in the Gulf of Guinea area. And for example, we have already 27,000 people that have left Burkina Faso, and they have arrived in the northern part of Togo.
Burkina Faso, Haiti, Mali, Sudan, Afghanistan, Nigeria, Somalia, South Sudan, and Yemen are identified as the highest alert level countries. Central African Republic, Democratic Republic of the Congo, Ethiopia, Kenya, Pakistan, Syria, and Myanmar also face significant concerns. The report highlights potential spillover effects of the Sudan crisis and the risk of extreme weather events due to El Nino in Central America. Urgent responses and international coordination are crucial to address the food crisis. In tonight's other news, President Marcos Jr. highlighted the need for the government to step up its efforts in achieving the country's rice self-sufficiency target of 97.4%. During an interview in Pasay City, the president mentioned that he recently organized a meeting at the National Irrigation Administration's Convention Hall in Quezon City, and the purpose of the meeting was to bring together various stakeholders from the rice industry and discuss initiatives related to consolidation and digitalization with the aim of enhancing the rice sector. Take a look.
This is ang aming ginawang target is 97.4, call it 97.5% self-sufficiency by 2028. By ang 97% is sufficient. You do not have to really go to 100% kasi yung 3% iba yung mga mga niche products. Yung mga organic, yung mga special na grain, Japanese rice, yung mga ganun. Yun hindi na natin kailangan i-provide yun. Pero at 97%, masasabi na natin, mapapakain na natin lahat ng ating kababayan ng may sapat na bigas na supply. So that's what we talked about.
President Marcos mentioned that one of the key features of the new roadmap is the consolidation of farmlands, which aims to improve the efficiency of farm mechanization.
We talked about the consolidation of the farmers. Dahil ang unang hakbang na kailangan natin gawin para magkaroon ng increased production at saka ibaba ang presyo ng produksyon ay kailangan i-mechanize. Hindi ka makapag-mechanize kung ang inaararo mo is only 0.6 hectares. Ganun kuminsan, ganun lang yung lupa. So, siguro, kuliglig lang ang pwede mong gamitin. Hindi mo pwedeng gamitin yung tractor na malalaki, which is very efficient. They can harvest 40 hectares in a day. So these are the kinds of things that we were talking about.
President Marcos also further highlighted the government's plan to attract and train more young Filipino farmers in utilizing agricultural technologies.
Also the digitalization, so that we provide good data to our farmers, the farmer leaders, and mga cooperatives. So we are trying to consolidate the farms so that we can take full advantage of the economies of scale of the new technologies. Napag-usapan din natin, speaking of new technologies, is bringing down the age of the average age of the Filipino farmer. And to do that, again, we engage them with new technologies because they will be the ones who will operate those systems, those new technological systems. And that will make it interesting for young people to come into the sectors.
This gathering at the NIA office took place shortly after a courtesy visit from executives of the Thai conglomerate Sharawen Pokpan Brand or Pokpan Group or CP Group to Malacanang Palace in Manila. During the meeting, the CP Group expressed their keen interest in investing approximately $2.5 billion to provide a significant boost to the Philippines' agriculture sector. In scorching temperatures, Vu Thi Puang maneuvers through the street of Hanoi, selling coffee, lime juice, and ice from her trolley. She, along with thousands of other street vendors, predominantly women, have no choice but to brave the heat waves that have been sweeping through northern Vietnam in recent weeks. Take a look.
Mình vẫn cứ phải đi thôi, nắm nước muốn ngất ra đường luôn, quá nắng. Em tính cứ đi giữa đường kia thì nó phải ở đây nó 38 độ thì giữa đường nó phải 40 mấy độ.
With global warming exacerbating extreme weather events, Vietnam is just one among several countries in South and Southeast Asia experiencing record-breaking temperatures in early May. The country recorded its highest ever temperature of 44.1 degrees Celsius or 111.38 degrees Fahrenheit, prompting health officials to ensure or to issue warnings about the dangers of excessive heat exposure. As the mercury soared to 38 degrees Celsius on a Thursday, the usually bustling old quarter of Hanoi, filled with motorbikes, tourists, and food vendors, was noticeably calmer.
Nắng nóng này thì dân tình nó cũng ế ẩm ấy, người ta cũng chẳng mua bán mấy đâu. Thế là đâm ra bây giờ bọn chị đi rong đa số là người ta cũng vào trong siêu thị lấy ship hàng, người ta đặt nhiều, đi rong thì chỉ còn khách quen thôi. Thì người ta mới mua thôi, còn đâu là.
A 2021 report from the Environment Ministry highlighted the significant impact of the urban heat island effect on life in Hanoi. This phenomenon occurs when the air temperature in urban areas is considerably higher than in surrounding suburban regions. Factors such as overpopulation, rampant construction work, and a high volume of vehicles contribute to the problem. The United Nations is taking the cryosphere seriously. The cryosphere includes sea ice, glaciers, and permafrost, and its melting poses a huge threat to our planet, according to the UN's Weather Agency. Now, member states at the World Meteorological Organization are getting worried about how the melting ice can affect sea levels, ecosystems, natural disasters, and economies worldwide. It's not just an Arctic or Antarctic issue anymore. It's a global concern. Take a look.
Professor Petritalis also remarked about was that the discussions and the concern that was being voiced was global. We had delegates speaking from small island states in the Caribbean. We had delegates speaking from Africa, obviously delegates from Canada, from the Russian Federation, Antarctic regions. All of them united in saying that, what happens in polar regions, in high mountain regions, doesn't stay in those regions, but it's affecting everybody. It's having a global impact, and in particular on small island states and densely populated coastal zones. And the quote from Professor Petritalis, WMO Secretary General, is the cryosphere issue is a hot topic, not just for the Arctic and the Antarctic. It's really a global issue. More than 1 billion people rely on water from snow and glacier melt, which is carried by the major rivers of the world. When those glaciers retreat, you need to think what's going to happen to the water security of those people.
During a meeting in Geneva, WMO countries called for more funding to enhance coordinated observations, predictions, data exchange, research, and services related to the cryosphere. Even nations far from the poles, like those in the Caribbean and Africa, expressed their concerns because they know that changes in the cryosphere impact the entire planet. And did you know that the melting of glaciers and ice sheets in Greenland and Antarctica contributes to about 50% of rising sea levels, and it's happening faster than ever.
Arctic permafrost, so that's literally permanently frozen soil. It's melting. It's referred to as a sleeping giant. One of the presentations yesterday talked about this being the sleeping giant of greenhouse gases. It stores twice as much carbon as in the atmosphere today, so we need to monitor what is happening in the permafrost. Glaciers, Greenland and Antarctic ice sheet melt accounts for about 50% of sea level rise, and that level is increasing. The rate of sea level rise is increasing. We're seeing more natural hazards in mountain areas, glacial flood outbursts, which is literally, just glaciers breaking off and crashing into dams and areas.
According to Inger Anderson, the big boss of the UN Environment Program, recycling alone won't solve our plastic problem. As we gear up for another round of talks to create a global agreement against plastic, Anderson is suggesting that one clever solution is to ditch plastic packaging for liquid products like washing liquid. Basically, she's saying that we need to rethink beyond recycling if we want to get ourselves out of this mess. Plastic packaging is a huge contributor to the plastic pollution crisis, and finding alternatives like moving away from plastic containers for liquid goods could make a real difference. Take a look.
So first of all, we can't recycle our way out of this mess. We need to rethink, redesign completely. So recycling is one of the many keys that we will need to make this work. But on the recycling story, clearly, what we need to be aware of is that today, the material, we throw it away, it has no value. So that awareness is step one. Step two is, while not making the consumer the responsible party, because at the end of the day, it's business and governments that have to take that responsibility, but we have things that are within our control. We have a party, do we need single-use cups, or can we actually wash them up afterwards? Or do we need straws for every drink that we take? The rethinking of the products is something I'm very keen on. Today, so many products, we want them in liquefied form. Our shampoo, our toothpaste, even our washing powder, we want liquid because we're very sort of a species that like convenience. But look, there are many, many things we can deliquify and convey, therefore, in carton and convey in simpler packaging that it can be recycled without the heavy footprint. So there are steps that we ourselves can take, just like with climate. But the bigger system shifts will come from agreements such as what we are about to negotiate that will essentially begin to eliminate certain things and certain practices. But every consumer has a choice. And if you are in a supermarket and you see bananas in a plastic bag or bananas not in a plastic bag, the earth has made them, they're already packaged when we buy them. And so there's a lot of unnecessary packaging that simply is waste. And if you come with your reusable bag, then you're kind of in a good place already. So I think there are some choices that we can make in our consumption habits, and I very much encourage consumers to do that.
And finally, get ready for an illuminating experience at this year's Light Extravaganza in Singapore. With the exciting theme, A New Wave, the festival boasts of 14 captivating installations that will surely leave you in awe. One of the highlights is Glacier Dreams, an impressive projection created by renowned Turkish-American media artist Refik Anadol, showcased on the Art Science Museum's facade at Marina Bay Sands. Using cutting-edge artificial intelligence, the artwork translates visual data of the world's glaciers into compelling narratives, aiming to raise awareness about the pressing issues of rising sea levels and climate change. From June 1 to 25, immerse yourself in the magic of Asia's premier sustainable Light Fest and be part of the conversation for a brighter, more sustainable future.
I've been coming for all the years, and I feel this year is the best because it has many lights and it's more beautiful this year. And especially this one behind me. It has, as you can see, it's inflatable with many different colors, and I feel like it tells me a story.
Singapore does a good job of bringing many exhibitions in, but I think such public exhibitions that are free and allow people to see them while they're on their way to work or while they're walking around also helps to spread the love for art.
As my usual habit, I'd like to end the day on a positive note. Let's encourage and build each other up so that no one is left behind. And that's it for tonight's broadcast. I'm Alma Angeles. Stay in the news because we live in extraordinary times. Good night.